Before we dive into the galaxy's wildest wars, let's talk about a conflict that literally tore apart the fabric of reality. The Time War from Doctor Who. The origins? Two ancient enemies. The Time Lords of Gallifrey, masters of time, guardians of causality, and the Daleks, merciless conquerors bent on universal domination. What started as a cold war of manipulation exploded into all-out temporal warfare. Battles raged not just across space but through history itself. Eras rewritten, civilizations erased, entire timelines collapsing in the crossfire. Major battles, legends speak of the fall of Arcadia, the last great Time War's bloodiest siege, and the unleashing of weapons so terrible they could erase realities. The Moment, the Nightmare Child, and the mysterious Cruciform. Key factions. The Time Lords, led by Rassilon, wielded impossible technology and time itself as a weapon. The Daleks, commanded by their Emperor, evolved into nightmarish new forms, determined to exterminate all opposition. The impact? Cataclysmic. The Time War scarred the universe, leaving time itself fractured and haunted by paradox. Gallifrey vanished, the Daleks nearly wiped out, and the Doctor left as the last of his kind, haunted by the war's impossible choices. Why do the biggest sci-fi universes always end in total war? Is it for glory, survival, or pure chaos? Let's break down the wildest wars in the galaxy. First up, the War in Heaven from Warhammer 40k. This was no ordinary conflict. On one side, the Necrontyr, an ancient dying race, transformed into the immortal Necrons, soulless robotic legions led by the Silent King. On the other, the Old Ones, mysterious, godlike beings who shaped life across the stars, wielding unimaginable psychic power. The scale? Absolutely cosmic. Entire star systems burned as the Necrons unleashed planet-destroying weapons, while the Old Ones summoned storms that tore holes in reality itself. Legendary battles raged for millennia, like the Siege of the Webway, where the Necrons tried to breach the Old Ones' secret dimension, or the final cataclysm that shattered empires and unleashed chaos across the universe. The stakes, existence itself. The War in Heaven didn't just decide who ruled the stars, it tore the fabric of reality, unleashing horrors that echo through the galaxy to this day. Next, the Yuuzhan Vong War in Star Wars. These guys invade the galaxy, can't be sensed by the Force, and think pain is the ultimate vibe. The Yuuzhan Vong hail from a distant, dying galaxy, driven by religious fanaticism and a hatred of technology. Their entire civilization is built on living, bioengineered organisms. Ships, weapons, even armor are all alive. Their invasion tactics, brutal and relentless. They strike from the galactic edge, using living warships and terrifying biotech to overwhelm the New Republic. Planets fall, one after another. Some are reshaped, others obliterated. Major battles erupt across the galaxy, like the Fall of Ithor, where the Vong unleash planet-killing plagues, or the Siege of Coruscant, turning the galactic capital into a nightmarish war zone. Key heroes rise, Jedi like Jacen and Jaina Solo, Luke Skywalker, and Han and Leia Organa Solo lead the desperate fight. On the other side, villains like Supreme Overlord Shimra and the ruthless War Master Tsavong La push the invasion to the brink of total victory. The impact? Catastrophic. Billions perish, the Jedi are hunted, and the very fabric of the Force is shaken. The war leaves scars across the galaxy, politically, physically, and spiritually. Talk about extra. Now, let's plunge into one of the most apocalyptic wars ever fought, the Forerunner Flood War from Halo. This is a saga of hubris, horror, and ultimate sacrifice, where the fate of billions of worlds hung in the balance. The origins of the Flood. It all began with the ancient precursors, mysterious beings who seeded life across the galaxy. When the precursors were betrayed and nearly wiped out by the Forerunners, some transformed into a virulent parasite, the Flood. The Forerunners first encountered the Flood as a strange infection on distant worlds. At first they underestimated it, treating outbreaks as isolated incidents. But the flood was relentless, corrupting all sentient life it touched, growing smarter and more cunning with every host. The conflict escalated into a galactic nightmare. The flood swept across the stars, overwhelming Forerunner defenses, consuming entire civilizations, and turning the dead into an unstoppable army. The Forerunners, masters of technology, unleashed their greatest weapons, planetary shields, sentinels, and warships, but nothing could halt the flood's advance. Key battles raged on countless worlds. The Battle of the Capital saw the flood breach the heart of Forerunner civilization, while the defense of the Maginot Line, a vast network of shield worlds, ended in disaster as the flood found ways to infiltrate and corrupt even the most secure fortresses. Facing extinction, the Forerunners made a desperate choice. Led by the Librarian and the Didact, they constructed the Halo Array, massive ringworld superweapons designed to wipe out all sentient life, starving the flood of hosts. In a final tragic act, the Forerunners activated the Halos. A wave of destruction swept the galaxy, erasing all advanced life in an instant. The flood was starved and defeated, but at a terrible cost. The Forerunners themselves were doomed, their civilization shattered, their legacy left in ruins. The ultimate fate: the flood was contained, but the galaxy was left scarred and empty. The Forerunners vanished, leaving only cryptic monuments and the silent rings drifting in space, a warning to all who would challenge the balance of life and death. Apocalyptic much. And now, let's dive deep into the infamous 7-hour war from Half-Life, a conflict so swift and devastating it changed the fate of humanity in less than a single day. The key factions: on one side, the Combine, an interdimensional empire of unimaginable power, wielding advanced technology, biomechanical soldiers, and overwhelming numbers. On the other, the desperate defenders of Earth, fractured national militaries, hastily formed resistance groups, and terrified civilians caught in the crossfire. The war began with a shock. Portal storms erupted worldwide, tearing open the sky and unleashing the Combine's invasion force. Earth's armies scrambled to respond, but the enemy's technology was decades, if not centuries, ahead. Major turning points came fast and brutal. The world's militaries mounted a defense but were crushed in minutes by Combine synths, gunships, and striders, towering biomechanical war machines impervious to conventional weapons. Strategic cities fell in rapid succession: New York, London, Moscow, each overwhelmed by precision strikes and relentless assaults. Notable strategies: humanity tried everything. Coordinated counterattacks, guerrilla ambushes, even nuclear options. But the Combine's mastery of teleportation and suppression fields rendered resistance futile. Communication networks collapsed, command structures broke down, and hope faded with every passing hour. The emotional stakes were sky high. For humanity, it was a fight for survival, for family, for the very right to exist. For the Combine, it was cold efficiency. Another world to be harvested, another species to be subjugated. The climax came as Dr. Wallace Breen, Earth's appointed administrator, brokered a surrender to spare what remained of the human race from total annihilation. The aftermath? Earth was conquered in just 7 hours. The Combine imposed brutal rule. Cities walled off, populations controlled, resources drained. Humanity was broken, but not extinguished. In the ruins, the seeds of resistance began to grow, fueled by loss, anger, and the hope of one day reclaiming their world. The 7-hour war stands as one of fiction's most intense, heartbreaking, and immersive battles, a testament to both the terror of overwhelming force and the resilience of the human spirit. These wars aren't just epic, they redefine high stakes. Which one would you survive? Let us know below.